there's other people who just like they'll overdose it where the crashes are coming in, and that's potentially they'll stop, or if they do their pacing completely changes. They're almost like just like you almost falling asleep like on the car trying to get home, because the come down effect is so much because you have that big spike and then there's that big insulin spike as well. But when that crashes, your body will always overcompensate.
Hello and welcome. Today, finally, we have Simon here, and we're going to talk about caffeine, coffee, stimulants, and as we know each other, wherever that will lead us, right?
Yeah, that's the start.
That's the start, yeah. That's the starting topic. Simon is seminar stuff for CrossFit for 10 years?
Almost 11 now.
11 years?
Yeah.
Nice. Coach of close to 15, 20 years?
I think I've been coaching people in some regard since I was 18, 19 years old. So a while.
Okay, so a while?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
a while.
That's 16 years?
16 years. Yeah. Cool.
Get my maths right?
Yeah. And plus semi-pro golfer?
No, I'm a enthusiastic, obsessed amateur.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very specific definition. Plus, I will go with it again. Semi-pro barista.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
yeah, because you have you have a list of certifications and.
No, just one. I just did the foundations course from the SCA accreditation thing. Other than that, it's just making and messing up coffees, and then basically to a point now where ever I go for coffee, if I decide to have a milky coffee, like a flat white or cappuccino, I'll literally pour it myself, and they let me do it. So that's, if you want to call that semi-pro, we'll call it semi-pro.
Yeah, well,
you got more stuff here than I do at home.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. But you have the network, right? Because whatever the coffee house is, you come there, you tell them, I want to make my own coffee. Yeah, and they already know you anyway. So.
Yeah, I literally, if I'm having a conversation with you guys, I'll literally go, hold on. I'll go to the counter, pour my coffee, come back. And it's cool because I get my coffee faster. So that's also
I actually didn't ask you if you want coffee now.
Hey, if you did this podcast in the afternoon, yes, but it's no.
Okay, yeah, we will definitely talk about that as well.
Yes.
The timing of the coffee.
Oh, I'd love that.
Cool. So, coffee. Mm-hmm. How you started with coffee?
How it started? Okay, so I had a CrossFit gym in the UK, which I kind of started back in 2009. And then, let's backtrack a little bit. When I first, everyone did the Starbucks.
I was 6.
I was 6. It's a long time ago. I grew up here, and like a hangout spot was because Starbucks was relatively new, so we just went to Starbucks. But that was, I was like mid-teens. So what do we go drink? Like Frappuccino, boom, boom. So I'm not even going to qualify that as coffee. And then when I moved to the UK. The first CrossFit gym I went in, and this is me not even getting used to UK stuff. They just asked me, "It's like, hey, do you want a brew?" And I went, "What's a brew?"
What's a brew?
And it's like, "Oh, it's like a hot drink, like tea or coffee." I went, "Oh, okay, coffee." And that was like instant coffee. And I went, "Okay." And I drank it, and it was just a nice way to stay warm because I moved there in January, which is cold.
So from how many years in Dubai?
I was born and raised here, so I moved to the UK. Just before I turned 22.
Okay, so just after 21 years of life in Dubai, you moved to UK in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely needed something to say.
January 12th. Yeah. 2008. I remember.
Specifically.
And then, I walked into the gym. I didn't own a jacket. So the guy gave me like his body warmer, and we're good friends now. Because he's on seminar staff too. And he kind of runs the affiliate CrossFit manager stuff over there. He's an awesome guy. Anyways, back to coffee. So from there, basically it was just a method to stay warm. And it was, I think everyone started here with an instant with a couple spoons, then you swirl it and you drink it. But how it really started when I opened up my gym and we moved locations, and there's this warehouse area. About a year after, this guy opened up a bike repair shop with a coffee bit in it. called Pop-Up Bikes. His name's Dip, and really cool guy. I actually thought he was really weird at the beginning.
And where was this?
Manchester, the UK.
Manchester, okay.
Yeah, and it was literally for where my gym was, you could either do 400 meters either way. So you can go 400 meters to the right or 400 meters to the left. But at the 200 meter mark where you turn back, if you went left, it was literally at his shop.
So anybody who went left, nobody went
no one came back.
400.
But he had a really cool sort of business model. So people would ride in their bikes from like kind of suburban areas. And since it was secure, they would leave their bikes there. So just pay like a storage thing.
Was it like just to clarify, it was a bicycle?
Bicycle shop.
Or motorbike?
Bicycle.
Okay, bicycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a bicycle shop, and then he would store their bikes. If they needed any repairs, he would fix it pretty much on the spot. He was very good at what he does. But then he had this little, well, not small, but like a pretty decent coffee setup. And then he was, because he loved fixing bikes. And then when he started getting into coffee, he loved to tinker. So he just kept messing around with the espresso machine and messing around with the grind sizes. So I would literally just come in after my morning classes, come out. And then, like I said, this is a guy who would talk to anyone. And I was just like, he's a bit odd at the beginning. But then the more I got to know him, he's just curious about people. So he just kept asking questions. So we would just have like long conversations over cups of coffee. And then he would only do stuff locally sourced. He would only buy beans from local roasters. He bought his bread, like his sourdough bread, from some hippie dude who made it in his garage. Like, it was just like, he was just one of those guys. And then he just kind of had this small little network of people that helped him support his business. But then he just had a good community of people. And then anyone who wanted their bike repaired, he'd fix it faster than any one of the major bike repair people in there. Because it's, oh yeah, come back in 2 weeks. Like, I'll finish this by the end of the day. And they're like, what? And then, oh, go grab a coffee on your way out or a cup of tea. And that's sort of like where my coffee journey started, because I initially went in there, wanted to have a conversation, but to do work. So I'd finish my morning classes. By this point, I was kind of started to work for Seminar Staff. And then what that allowed me to do was I'll come do my classes, I'll close the gym down, go to the gym, have a coffee, start doing all my work, any sort of prep I needed to do for the gym or the seminars, I could do that.
When you're mentioning the seminar stuff, coffee is a big thing amongst the seminar stuff, right?
Coffee is a big thing amongst CrossFit people. I think fitness people in general. Okay. Everyone likes it, but but
you didn't start it for that, let's say, stimulation purpose.
No.
It's just a habit.
Well, if you want to go earlier, there's just to stay warm, because there's no heating in gyms in the UK. Like, it's just like,
okay, so how many cups did you have to stay warm?
I would just remember anytime it got cold, we'd just have one. It just became like a conversation. Then brew, and then we had a bunch of mugs. We just make coffee for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you said you had classes, so I assume that you had multiple coffees.
So for example, if I was there, like first thing in the morning, maybe I'd come teach a class or two, and then when there's a break, or there's a like kind of like, so normally if I was in the gym, it was 7-8 o'clock class I would finish. And then I just had an open gym. So that's when normally would make a coffee for everyone. Or I'll close the gym down. I'm like, hey, let's go to the coffee shop. And then we'd all go there and just have a bit of a breakfast. So that became like a normal hangout. But I think like, I would say at its, I love coffee, but I don't think I drink as much as what people think I do. People think I'm obsessed with it. I like it, but it's not, like you said, for the stimulation of it, is more the experience of it. And it's something that's kind of, I want to say it's a bit of a non-negotiable. Like, I just enjoy the process of stuff.
Yeah, that's what got me into it too. Yeah. I just like the process. Yeah. I like making it. That's why I have roughly 7 ways in the kitchen how to make it: espresso, cold brew, pour over. Even though pour over I'm not doing, because I like stronger.
Yeah.
So I do shots. Espressos. I might do anything between 5 to 10 coffees a day, but maybe 1 or 2 is for me.
Yeah.
Because it's I offer it, as a part of the experience in this beautiful gym. You always get a coffee.
Yeah. But that's what, I do at Inner Fight. So like, I'll teach my morning classes. If I know I finish the 8:30 class and I'm like, hey, I'm going up for coffee, and I'll just hang out with everyone. And this has been a nice way to kind of break the ice a little bit. And like, I'm not just there, telling them what to do and help them out. It's like, we can actually talk about stuff outside the gym. So it becomes a nice icebreaker, but for me, it's always been connector, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to pull back the layers of that, for me, I've had great conversations. That's how I started dating Annette, my fiance, and I just took her to specialty coffee shops. But then it's how, I think with what we do is...
So it's a coffee tour with Simon.com, yeah?
Coffee tour. Simon says coffee. Yeah, well, and it's, I don't know, there's something about, specifically specialty coffee, which is very similar to, I know it's been talked about before, but it's as coaches, like, anyone can acquire the credentials as a PT to help people out and like at least get the basics down. Anyone can push a button on a coffee machine and make a cup of coffee, but then when it's good, it's phenomenal. It's a craft. And in order to be good at your craft, you have to put the hours and put the reps in. You got to achieve mastery there. And I think, and it's never ending. Like it's like coaching. It's, everyone you meet with any sort of, not issue, but like anything you're trying to figure out for them, it's a bit of a puzzle. With coffee, it's like, I can make it one way and I can make it the same way the next day. I'm like, why does it taste a little bit different? Mm-hmm. And like as soon as you ask that question, you're like, okay, maybe I can play with the grind size. Maybe the water is a bit hot. Maybe I use different water. Maybe I use different water. And all those things start slowly, it's like a science experiment. As soon as you change one element of it, it can completely change the taste, the flavor, the profile.
It's like the training, right?
Yeah. 100%.
It's the same thing as putting together the workout. Change one variable, very different experience.
Yeah. I mean, talk about training as well. And it's a client I've got at the moment, and we're dealing with some like piriformis, maybe potential
sauce.
No, but that's helping. Like a bursitis in her hip.
Okay.
Anyway, so we were just doing some stuff, and then she's really good at running and endurance stuff. And then I was like, wait, we're just gonna do like dimble deadlifts, some split squats, 100 seconds. This is almost patented by this guy. And then we did some like literally some sled pushes, like sprints. And she's like, "Can we swear? Are we family friendly or?"
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she was fine.
We are family. I thought that was what she said.
Oh no. And I could just see like this like look in her face, like what just happened? And it's just like, and it's just where and I think where when you meet people that have mentored me and Paulo and whoever you've kind of dealt with in life, and it's just where it's simple. It's not overcomplicated. It's like, oh, just do this, and you do it. You're like, okay, now what happened during this time? Oh, this and this. Okay, try this. Okay, and that dialogue kind of tweaked everything. And then I think when we kind of bring it back to coffee is how these little things. Coffee can be really, really simple. You can have all the gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that, but then it's a good cup of coffee. It's a nice way, however you want to do it, to start the day, for you to process and do work, for you to have your own time. And so this is a very unique thing, and everyone enjoys it a different way. I think when we did a coffee course, she was actually the barista champion, and she's from Poland. So it kind of helped that Annette and her had really cool conversations. But she just went, everyone likes their coffee, and there's a specific taste they like, but it's just how they were brought up. And it was just, and then, if there's people who were, you could say the older generation, it's like strong, bitter. That's what they know. And then when you give them like a specialty coffee, it's like, oh, what is this weak stuff? I don't want it. It tastes like nothing. Mm-hmm. But then that's what they think coffee is. It's like a little pick me up and da-da-da. Then when we talk about it, it's like, no, it's a conversation. It's this, it's a whole experience around it.
Yeah, like for me, the coffee is not about the coffee,
no.
Right? However, and this is something the direction I want to go a little bit now is how people using it.
Okay.
Yeah. You said you won't have coffee now because it's too late.
Yeah.
Right? I was a couple of years ago, I was in a situation where I was easily doing 6 to 8 double espressos every day.
I remember those times, yes.
Yep. Yeah. That's where we kind of start to hang out more.
Yeah.
Not because of that.
Why?
No. Long hours in the gym.
Yes.
And was it helping you?
Well, I thought it was. That was the problem, right? That was the trap, that I thought it was helping me, and it was always because I also had it connected with the process.
Yeah.
I always escaped there. I closed myself in the room, made my nice cup of coffee, done, move on. Did class, did session, again, did class, did session.
It's like the smoking book that we spoke about.
Okay.
And you saw what the comment was that he associated the feeling of having good food, that the result of smoking is adding on, while actually it's a negative thing in comparison to the positive thing he did, which is food. So, but for how long did he do that?
Too long.
Not admitting.
Yes.
I was. He was witnessing.
I've been in that camp too, and
from a little distance, but he witnessed all of it. Basically, the problem was.
I think at those times we both drank that much.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the problem was that there was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. I was 24/7 needed to be available for the gym, and I was waking up at 5. I was lucky to get to bed at 10, 11, which for me is super late if I have to wake up at 5. I was coaching anything between 6 to 10 sessions.
Wow.
Not necessarily group, it was including PTs. However, I was still there for other stuff. As a head coach, I had to be available for other stuff, dealing with a lot of bullshit of other people. No offense, but that's just how it was. And then basically, Julian came.
Yep.
With no fix November.
Yeah, we both did that.
Yeah, we both did it. No stimulants through whole November.
Okay.
And well, you need to find out why, what to replace it with, right? Why the coffee was helping or how it was and wasn't helping. The problem with that is that if you're that chronically fatigued as I was, you can have double espresso. You can have 4 espressos and you will fall asleep anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're chronically deprived of the sleep. However, the quality of the sleep is very low. And then you are in one vicious circle. So like that cleansing out, 4 to 5 days is the coffee addiction. Yeah. Air quotes coffee addiction.
I was going to ask, like, what was like your first initial week of that?
I had mild headaches.
Okay.
And not mild irritability.
Okay.
But eventually it kind of faded out and I started to feel way better. Because I never really liked the idea of kind of being addicted, right?
No, of course.
I mean, no one should like that idea. If you like that idea, then there's something probably even deeper wrong.
So how did you handle the headaches? What did you do?
Drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I knew it's a very common symptom of coffee withdrawal. Yeah. But it takes really 4 to 5 days and then you are way better and way
How about
way
you,
more
Simon?
okay.
Well, I was gonna add, did you do decaf at all?
No, I did nothing. No decaf.
No, for me, there were no headaches, which I was very surprised about. And like I literally just did it on. I woke up that morning. I was doing a seminar in Abu Dhabi, and I walked in. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing coffee for 30 days." And it was just like, I would say my caffeine intake or coffee intake during a seminar goes up, and it's normally like there's water around and there's normally a coffee very nearby me. And it's not, I'll say it. Most probably it's a comfort for me, but it just makes me feel like, because I feel like I need to always be on. And I know that's partly internal, but that's like my little, we'll call it my blanket. And it just allows me to just do that.
Comfort.
But yeah. So when I took it out for 30 days, it wasn't like the caffeine didn't bug me. The water take did go up. It was just more like the social thing because I socialize a lot with people in coffee shops. I'll go in, I'm like, I'll have a water, please, or tea.
I want to point to one thing that is very important in your case, Simon, that through the seminars, it's not only coffee intake is going up, but you don't eat all day.
No, I don't.
Yeah?
No, you've experienced that. He's actually forced me to eat.
Again, too many times.
So his intake was 6 to 8 espressos. How about you? Was it espresso and something else?
No, well, I don't do. I have espresso shots on occasion, but I like a bigger coffee. Not for like. I think it's just because I like to sit down, take my time and drink it. Whereas I feel like sometimes the shots, I'll just shoot down. I don't know why. I do sip espressos too, but it's just I think I just have more coffee.
Yeah, just to clarify, kind of the physiological effect of the coffee, what is actually happening.
Yeah.
There are two main things that we have to go into. First one is how long it stays in the system.
Yeah.
The second
And
one
the
is,
half-life as well.
or maybe the first one, more important one, is the half-time, exactly. And the more important one is how it actually works, because as we said, I think before we started recording, coffee is not a stimulant, or at least I don't see the coffee as a stimulant, because the mechanism of action in the body, it's not stimulating you. So very simply, or maybe not that simply, I'll try. You have a certain molecule in your body called adenosine, which is basically your messenger of fatigue. Okay, adenosine is low. If in ideal conditions, adenosine is low in the morning, and then it builds up through the day as you just it's a message that body is sending to your brain that we are tired. Now, caffeine has very similar molecular structure as the adenosine, so the receptors, they are supposed to take on adenosine and actually take the message to the brain. They are not able to do it because caffeine is binding into them first, which means you build up fatigue in your body, but caffeine is blocking your brain from knowing about it. So it's not a stimulant because it doesn't stimulate you, right? It's a bullshit agent. Yeah, it's bullshitting your brain. If you think about actual stimulation, it's like, not like recommended, I'm just saying amphetamine, methamphetamine. It's actual absolute kick into the nervous system where you feel less tired, more prone to take risks. You feel constantly that the fatigue is just not there. You can just go forever. Pain threshold is lower. That's why Hitler was giving it to his soldiers, right? And not only that, but also in a not that far history, this was used to boost certain fighters and so on, right? Because it will just hype you so much, but it's a way deeper damage basically to the brain on the long term, or also on the short term. So talking about these two, yes, amphetamine, methamphetamine, that's stimulation, but the caffeine is not a stimulation.
Okay.
And that's why you can crash so badly once the coffee will fade away. Because once you fade away, once it fades away, the adenosine is so built up that then you have huge dip down.
And that's what, I mean, you kind of mentioned it already, where it starts affecting sleep because you're not resting, you're literally like passed out. And there's a huge difference behind that. And then they wake up and then they're more tired, so they have more coffee. And so it just becomes this vicious cycle. So that No Fix November thing was almost like a bit of a reset. And I think, we were drinking quite a bit of coffee then, but like I said, from my personal intake, it was, I noticed it was more of a social awkwardness than anything else. But I did notice my sleep got a lot better. I when I woke up, I felt like, oh, okay, cool. I wasn't like quite groggy, and I was traveling quite a lot back then too. So I was actually surprised how well I felt, and I thought it was going to affect me a lot more than it did. But back then, you asked me the question about this 6 to 8 sort of coffees a day. I would max out like 4 or 5. But like even on, on a seminar, like I got coffee around me, but like I don't finish them all. Like literally I go, and I'll just make another one. But like even now, like I would say I'm around 3 a day.
Okay.
Sort
That's
of.
not bad.
No, like exactly. So
that's,
like
what would that be in like milligrams of caffeine? It's like 150 per one, you would say.
150. There's one. So. Any coffee that they make, we're gonna get coffee geek mode. You're gonna grind about 20 to 25 grams of coffee. And is that like you get 10% output? I can't remember the exact sort of amount of coffee that you end up ingesting. But basically,
I don't know.
Yeah. So from any coffee you have, if they're doing it well and they actually weigh it and measure it, there'll be per coffee you order, there'll be about between 20 and 25 grams of coffee, depending what they're trying to do. And then from there, they'll brew it, whichever method they use, with the water ratio. And then when you get it, that's kind of what you're having. So like, it's no more than 3 a day. It sometimes jumps up because, I'm just trying to calculate, because if I have double espresso, it's like one espresso is roughly anything between 70 to 80 milligrams of caffeine itself. Yeah. So if I double it, I'm probably on one of your cups of coffee. Yeah. Because like all the long black or Americanos are all double shots. And
it's double shot with water in, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I wouldn't say. I don't think it's a lot. I've seen people that's worse, especially with like, the local community around here. And it's like, they'll have a coffee at 10 o'clock and go to sleep. But then, what Paulo is talking about, that's the vicious cycle. Because it's like, if you can have a coffee and literally go to sleep, and, there are days where I feel like, I reckon if I could have a coffee now, and most probably I could go to sleep afterwards. But that's just the nature of, me. Like, I've been working at Interfine. I love it there, and it's been a lot of fun. But I've had to get used to waking up at 4 to 4:30 every morning.
And how long before you didn't have to wake up basically for anything, right?
Yeah, like during the week, I didn't have to do anything. Like my early starts, it was golf, which, that's normal. But then, 4 to 4:30 wake ups to be in the gym, to run a class for 5:30 or have clients or my golf guys who come in. And that's, 5 days a week. So it's just where, I didn't understand it, because I know, like the other coaches there, Boz and Marcus as well, like they're in bed by like 8:39. I'm like, I don't think I've ever done that since I was like 12. And I just remember as a kid, I was like, you'd ask your mom, like, Mom, can I I'm older now. I'm a big man. Can I okay, cool. Okay. You can go to bed at 9. I'm like, I got all excited about that. Yeah. Right. Achievement unlocked. And then, as we're all getting older, we're like, what, you want to go to bed early? Like, yeah. No, but it's just where, but then you kind of, in a way, forced to, where since we're starting that early, to get better quality of sleep, you need to go to bed earlier, or else you just burn it on both ends. And I know when I've done that, because, there's a need to push through, and you're trying to always be on, and you will always be on for your clients, your classes, your seminars. And then that's where kind of the stuff that he was talking about with the adenosine molecule, about like, we need to be on. And then if we don't take those breaks, or we don't have those stops, or don't kind of adjust something that needs to be adjusted, you'll see it. It just starts trickling into your everyday stuff, where like you're tired all the time. You don't want to train. You get cranky. You might have cravings for other foods. So it becomes this chain reaction.
I was sleeping all Saturday then. After a week like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was easy, like woke up.
Yeah.
Went to the gym.
Yeah.
Did either some, easy session or maybe some PT. Then lunch, sleep, food, sleep.
Yeah.
Woke up at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Ate, slept another 8 to 10 hours to the next day.
To compensate whatever you
missed. Yeah, exactly. It was so bad.
And how was Sunday then?
Well, Sunday was the first day of the week that
feel into this.
Fresh, but then it started again, right?
Yes. So up and down.
So it wasn't only within a day cycle, but it extended to these like weekly cycles where I needed to catch up, and I was drained and exhausted. Because as Simon said,
that's when the travel was messing me up too. I would land.
I can't even imagine doing time zone changes within this.
Yeah, like Aneta does it. She's a champion at it. But like you can tell, her sleep schedule is messed up. But but for me, I've got a do nothing day. It hasn't happened now, but it's just where when I come back from a seminar, everyone thinks I'm really busy. I'm not. I'm just. I've given everything to everyone around me in terms of.
You're busy with doing nothing.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Yeah, exactly.
And that was, and it is whatever I wanted to do. If I just wanted to stay home and just be on the couch, yes. If that was me wanting to watch something, awesome. If it's me wanting to see someone specific, I would message that person. If not, like no one knew where I was, and it was just like nice. It's difficult. I think we're in the nature of what we do, where we give a lot to people. There's need to be a bit of a recharge, because I think we really enjoy interaction and being around people and helping them out, and that's very rewarding. But I think when you're not, I don't want to say looking after yourself, but if you don't give time for yourself on whatever that is, or give yourself some form of recharge to be able to give back. And that's something that took me a long time to kind of click.
It's the energy that you deliver to people, because if I come to the gym and my coach is not energized enough, I don't feel like I'm motivated.
Yep.
And that's a nice pass. That's what you see. Then there is this part that I find myself a lot in, that I'm basically like, when I'm just staring at somebody and it looks like I'm blanked out, that's when I'm actually working the most, because I'm trying to figure out how to help, what is going on, all the puzzles are coming together at that moment. So when you see coaches like that, it's not because they don't care, it's because they are trying to care at that moment.
Well, there's two parts. There's and it's I've been there. Like, you're just looking at a body part. I'm like, what is going on? You're trying to figure out what can I do to make that different, and then you're like, do this? Nah, that's not gonna work. But then there's the other side to that where, just like any profession that people do, there's always going to be a good version of it and a bad version of it, and there's people there. And I think kind of what you're talking about there is more they're there, but they're not. They're completely checked out. And I'm like, well, we're talking about where you're very focusing, and it's the blank look, but you're really trying to help them out, and you're 100% there, if that makes sense. But then there's other coaches, and we've seen it, and it's just where, like, they're literally looking at the clock, they're not present, and I don't know your name, and I don't really give a shit if you're here or not. I'm just waiting for my hour to finish so I can go do whatever. I can go about my day. I can go, and it's just that.
The playlist.
Yeah. I'm going to go mess around. I'm like, oh, come on, man. And it's just where, like, yes, it's effort, but it's not a lot. And it's just give a shit about people. And it's simple. As soon as you have that gear, you're there. It doesn't matter if you've had 6 to 8 cups of coffee. And the reason why we did it, because we have a responsibility to our clients. And that's where you'll do whatever it takes to be on.
Yes. But it's definitely not long-term sustainable.
No.
And that's why
I have a question for both of you. Okay. So how do you start your day? Do you immediately go and start with a coffee?
Not at 4:30 in the morning, no.
Okay. So it's food, then coffee?
No, I just go straight to my first client or class.
Oh, okay, so it comes later. Yeah. Because I understand there's people that they can't start the day, they can't talk to anyone unless they have that coffee.
Yeah.
And I've seen them in the office, in an
I would definitely
like
look at the reason behind it, because it's probably going to be not necessarily the coffee itself, it's going to be the habit of something. Some people say that they need a coffee to go to toilet.
Yes, I know someone. That's actually, my brother actually is one of those
but
people.
That's not true. If he will have hot water, he will go to the toilet the exact same way, because it's about the hot going to your stomach, which will increase the circulation is in your gut, and that will help the digestion.
I've heard people saying it's the mix of cigarettes and coffee that makes them...
Well, I'm not sure about the cigarettes on this one.
I don't smoke, so I don't know. But this is how, I think, again, it's all about assuming.
Again, this is very family friendly. If I have coffee with a cigarette, I would definitely shit myself as possible.
No, for me, if this is a cool point to make, is if I have black coffee or espresso, I'm fine. Like, there might be a point I'm like, okay, I need to use the bathroom. But if I have a cappuccino or a flat white, I'll be like, I'll be right back. And this is like, it's going to happen. But that's more, I have an issue with milk, not caffeine.
That might be. Oh, have you tried this with, almond milk, coconut milk, or something else? Like, if it's actually the milk?
Yeah, I got a tolerance to dairy.
Me too. So.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just can't overdo it. But then, for example, I can have milk on its own, yogurt on its own. But if it's mixed with coffee, I'm fucked. Yeah. And it's the same.
Just to quickly answer to your question as well, I don't have coffee as the first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I usually have at least half a liter of water.
Yeah.
And then most likely nothing is really going on in a meaning of food and stuff. I take my omegas with it. I just like drink it with it. I have my creatine with it, but that's it. That's just 5 grams. I just wash it out, and then at least half an hour, 1 hour, nothing's going on, and then it just depends on the day.
Okay.
So, my day is wake up if like Annetta she's been away. So recently is wake up, look at our dog Marvel. I'm a geek, by the way, so that's why our dog's named Marvel. And then
really?
Yeah. Well,
I never guessed that.
I don't know. And then check. I'm like, because I'll just check my schedule. I'm like, we need to go to the bathroom, so I'll quickly walk him. But normally it would just be wake up 4:30, get ready, do whatever, and then just kind of go to the gym. So if I've got classes, basically I'll run my classes or my clients, and then when I have my first little break, that's my time for coffee time, and that's kind of normally it. Now, if I'm home with Annette, it's a bit of a different ritual. If we're both home that morning, we'll wake up, I'll make coffee for us, and we'll sit down and we'll kind of go about our day. She likes to watch the news a little bit, and that's our routine ritual thing. But me personally, be like, up, go do what I need to do. When I have a bit of a chill out time, I'll have a cup of coffee.
Okay. What is the last time of the day you would have coffee now? Not going to the crazy times, but now.
Now, it's 3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Yeah.
You chose that because you know if you had it after that, you wouldn't sleep well?
No, I don't. I sleep pretty well with or without coffee. That's not much of an issue. I think Annette secretly hates me for it because I literally I'm going to sleep. And I'm out. Versus, and it's not I think I know by the end of the day is I've done what I need to do and it's out. And I'll just go to sleep. I've never had an issue with sleep. I used to have you could say a talent for sleeping in anywhere in odd positions.
Lucky you.
I know, right? It's like a superpower. And then,
but it doesn't mean not pointing out to you.
No.
Generally, doesn't mean necessarily it's a high quality sleep.
No.
Right?
I
because
wasn't. Yeah.
I could pass out after double, triple, quadruple espresso, but the quality, because body is resting, the brain is not, and that rolls over and rolls over.
That's the reason I can't sleep on anything that moves, like airplane, buses, cars. I can't.
Oh wow!
It's very difficult for me.
The noise, like also the white noise, helps me a lot. It's just somehow helping me and calming me.
I used to sleep like a good chunk on planes. I don't do it as much anymore. I don't know why. It's like it's something switched.
But you also fly a little bit
less. Yeah.
I mean, not only less, but also shorter distances, right?
Less tired too. Cause I used to travel a lot for stuff. And now I don't go as much. And then just I think just the way the last few years have been, when I'm on a plane, you're like high alert. You're like with God, whatever check, you're still flying with a mask.
You're afraid to breathe.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's and it's me been more like
I got COVID in the plane. Sorry.
There you go.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But I mean, you can't it's so hard to control, right? It's gonna spread. No, but it's more I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, we know what's going on here. Every time I had to go to a different country, until I got into my hotel room, I was just like, I need to get to my hotel room. As soon as I do that, I know the seminar is fine. But like, if something changed, if I landed and I didn't have the right paperwork, it was just anxious. So you're on a plane. I'm just like, do I have the paperwork? Do I need to do this? And then, I had to go to Denmark on short notice, and I had to call the police there. I'm like, what do I need to get in this country? I'm here for work. What paperwork do I need? And then they had to, what did they say? It's like, no, you need a suitable reason to work. I was like, okay, well, I'm coming out to do a seminar. So, okay, I'm like, is that good? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, well, what paperwork do you need? Because if I come in with paperwork, I'm guessing it has to be stamped or approved.
And you were already in Denmark when this was
happening? No. This is 2 days before. Okay. So I had my PCR test, just did that, called them up. So I had to get the gym we were going to send me a letter with their company stamp or signature on it, to say that I was coming out, had my passport number and everything to do this seminar. And then that was good. But I got there and I gave them the paper, and they were like,
why?
Look over to the side, brought over the friends. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. And they're like, I'm like, it's a suitable reason. I got all the thing. They're like, okay, go. I'm like, oh, thank God.
I think that's the feeling of responsibility, because you're taking
Yeah. And it just, you don't know. There's so many unknowns, and you could talk to the wrong person and they've just had a bad day or whatever. They're like, no. And I'm like,
So was the flight from the seminar easier always mentally, because there wasn't that much of stress? It was already over.
Oh, like coming back home?
Yeah, coming back.
I think, and that was That's when I would normally sleep.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I got this stuff downloaded on my iPad. I'm like, and I was like, boom, get on the plane, and I'm out. And it's just, yeah. And I think it's just the energy dump from the seminar. And and as you know, I don't really eat during a seminar. So I'm basically running on, I would even say more coffee than water at that point. Cause we're just doing stuff my brain is not on me. It's about what needs to happen. And then making sure the team are where they need to be and everyone gets the most out of the seminars. But it's the same thing with a class. Like, it's like the duration is not as big. It's an hour or 2 hours or whatever chunk you're coaching or your PTs. Like you're there, you're present. And that's where all other, I guess, responsibilities at that time go away, because this is what you're here for, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I experienced once we were hosting a gymnastics seminar, and Elaine, you met Elaine, my friend.
Yeah.
She was on the gymnastics stuff. So she is also, her second job is real estate. And they had some opening or selling something. She was crazy busy. And basically she did. First day, she came from US to Dubai. So completely different time zone. Yeah. She coached first day of the seminar. And then at night, between the first and second day, she was able to sleep 1 hour only, because she needed to do all the work for that listing or whatever was happening there. And then she woke up after 1 hour, after 16-hour flight, I don't know what it is,
Easy.
from
flight to
West Coast.
Oh God,
that's 16.
And she coached the whole day. It was only her.
Oh,
there was
I remember that one. Yeah,
like
I wasn't there, but I know she was there. Yeah.
Yeah, like one assistant coach, but that was only her doing it.
Yeah.
And nobody noticed anything.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed anything because she was like such a tuned, focused professional. It was crazy. Like we didn't know this until it was all over, and we just went for a dinner, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so tired." So we started to talk about it, and this was going on. And but yeah,
I've run seminars on no sleep.
Yeah,
like big ones is anytime I went to Asia, because we'd normally arrive there sort of a day early. So a day early, you sleep. Next day, like you're just staring at the wall, at the ceiling, and just going, try sleep. Okay, cool. Okay, if I go to sleep now, I'll get 5 hours. And it just kept going through that. I was like, oh God. So like the big ones I remember is China and Korea. Anytime I go out there, it was very common for me the day before the seminar, I wouldn't sleep. And that was just normal. I
struggled in Australia or in the US the same. Because I fly for events, and it's a short period, it's like 3-4 days, and it's just it's 16 hours a day flight or 14 hours Australia.
Yeah. Do you do coffee?
My journey with coffee is something recent, let's say.
Okay. Oh, recent?
Oh, yeah, probably 2000. I specifically say 2015.
Why specifically?
All right, so my family drinks coffee, but basically Turkish coffee.
Yes.
And
hey, that's a good coffee, man.
It is a good coffee.
Enjoy that.
I love the smell, but I've never. Maybe I sipped and I didn't like it, and I see my friends and I've in the Arabic community, basically it's always smoking cigarette and coffee.
Yes.
And I don't do both, or I don't smoke, so it didn't drag me into it. I tried cappuccinos or stuff like that. My dad loves cappuccino, basically, as like if he wants to have it outside. But in the morning, he can't go out for his. He used to be a teacher, so he can't go to school or he can't do any activity like fishing or anything without having his coffee next to him. So the reason why I started the journey is I got engaged. And then the family, they had this traditional Arabic coffee thing, and they will always spread it. And I'm like, my God, I don't want it. So I started having sips of it, and I'm like, it tastes all right. Like, it's different, but it's okay.
And you didn't want it because you didn't want it, or
I didn't enjoy the flavor. I don't like the flavor that it leaves. Like I love bananas, like to eat it as a fruit, but I just hate the aftermath of that. Like I don't like the flavor of bananas after that. Okay. So I have to compensate or find something else after to eat just to compensate.
Like a chaser.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I just don't like it. Anyway, so then Turkish coffee came in.
Yeah.
But I felt like it's too strong, and it alerted me so bad. Like I couldn't sleep till the next day.
Wow.
If I had a 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., it was disturbing.
We'll talk about the halftime as well, because that's super interesting. Yeah.
And then socially, you meet people, I'm like, oh, what? I'll have coffee. And cappuccino is the go for me. And then I realized about I'm lactose intolerant. So I discovered almond milk, and then I mixed almond with coconut milk. But then I preferred coconut milk because it was softer, it was comfortable. Coffee wasn't that strong. The flavor was decent. I don't need to put sugar in it. Yeah. And this is what my journey is. Now, my friends kept telling me, well, you have to do something before the workout. So like today, I went to the workout. I didn't have anything. Except food, of course. And so, but sometimes I was like, you know what? I'll make a cup of Turkish coffee before without sugar, because someone told me sugar will kill the caffeine out of it. And I would like
actually, that's milk.
Okay.
The calcium in the milk can neutralize the caffeine.
Okay. How about sugar?
I don't think so.
No, I think
it will actually kick you more.
I think sugar it's more of a stimulant than the caffeine.
Okay.
Because it's just when you have that much sugar, you're like. Ugh.
That's true. Yeah, like the sugar
your
is
eyes,
actual stimulant, way more than the caffeine.
Yeah, your eyes just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you believe that I tried espresso for the first time ever less than a year ago?
I was going to say he would most probably made it for you, but I was.
I was exhausted and I was going for a hike, and I'm like, I need something to push me.
That's okay. We can still be friends. It's fine.
and then I'm like, you know what? Let me try espresso, and I was a rabbit. It was too much for me. I felt my heartbeat went high, but I was alerted for a couple of hours. But then the crash happened. But it didn't happen on the hike. It happened on the way back, and I had to drive 2 hours.
Oh God!
And I'm just like, I want to reach home.
I have a very interesting story, which I will actually want to bring some other episode with Amy. You remember Amy, right? So the crazy triathlete.
Yeah.
So it's my friend, and I call her crazy triathlete as a reference because that's how I was introduced to her.
Okay. Yeah, I remember.
By her boyfriend, actually.
Yeah.
So Glenn came in and she was like, "Oh, so she's crazy." And then I learned that it was very true. She did half Ironman.
Yeah.
And she did this like long endurance training, and she had some little tweaks she needed to help with, and I was helping her with her programming, and I was helping her with her prep, mostly strength prep for these. But then one day she had some biking intervals, like normal road biking intervals, which took like altogether like 6-hour workout, because it was prep for an actual Ironman. It wasn't a normal training. We were basically peaking the prep for her Ironman. That didn't happen because of the COVID, but that's a different story. And she was like, okay, so what do I do regarding food for that 6-hour training? I was like, what did you used to do? And she said it was always the carb gels.
Yeah.
You know, what they have all over the dresses, you know, like 10,000 pockets, like, you know, the people who do pickpocketing don't have that many hidden pockets as the bikers. And basically it wasn't really going well for her. And she hinted it like, I did these gels, but I was always like so alert for the following night. And I start to kind of connect it. I was like, well, maybe it's the training, right? Because if you do 6-hour bike, you might be a little bit hyped.
Yeah.
But generally, I was like, okay, let's do an experiment. Because I know about one guy who is, I think he was even on Olympic Games in the speed walking. Yeah. And he was considered a crazy guy because he was doing keto, which is basically super low carb, close to no carb, 20 to 40 grams a day, and rest on the fats, which for me, I was like, why is everybody surprised? I know that endurance community, they always want the sugars, but the sugar is your gasoline. It will just burn quick and you're done with it. Like if you want to have a really long, sustainable pace, you would rather tap into your fat stores, right? Which keto makes sense. And this guy was world national champion for sure, world champion, maybe Olympian, right? So I told her exactly this, like it will be an experiment, you might die, but you're okay with it, let's do it, yeah? She did no energy gels. She did only some peanut butter and maybe like a protein bar, but like real protein bar, not sugar protein bar before that. and she practically wasn't really eating anything
For 6 hours.
Anything for the duration of the training.
Mm-hmm.
She came back home, ate great balanced meal, had some protein there, had some carbs to refuel, fell asleep like never before.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was
What is that?
just because it was fine-tuned
Yeah.
for the purpose it was made for, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just like, at that, when you got to think about it, you're just trying to, if you're just going to go fill up your car with petrol, there's a certain amount you need to put in. Now, if you start playing around with the types of fuel, ones which are going to burn faster or slower, for example, normal petrol and then diesel, different. But then, there's people who are more, I guess they were brought up, they're like quite carb adapted, and there are people that are fat adapted. And there's people that you hear about and they talk, and it's, they need to have a certain gel thing or certain dosage of it for this amount of time. Whereas those are the people who are quite calibrated, where there's other people that do, and maybe they're not as serious, but they'll literally just have all those gels, and they'll just have one whenever they feel like it. So at that point, it's like, well, how many did you have? Whereas people who are calibrated, it's like, I will have one at this mileage, at this much, and everything's calculated and pre-packed, ready to go. And then there's other people who just like, they'll overdose it where the crashes are coming in, and that's potentially they'll stop, or if they do their pacing completely changes. They're almost like just like you almost falling asleep like on the car trying to get home, because the come down effect is so much, because you have that big spike and then there's that big insulin spike as well. But when that crashes, your body will always overcompensate, and it's very good at that.
Yeah, you have a spike of the sugar, 10-15 minutes, spike of the insulin, and as the insulin spikes, the sugar drops, right? And then you have the craving, and then you want it again. Yeah. And you do this for 6 hours, and then you don't really know, because, maybe you can learn eventually how to do it correctly.
Yep.
But good luck with that. I would rather really go fasted or, like without fueling through that time, get over it on a hike or long bike ride, and then refuel after. But she was basically getting carbs and carbs and carbs and carbs in the previous attitude and approach. And it ended up that she had so much in the system, and the system was so messed up from all these spikes that she couldn't fall asleep, right? Yeah. After 6 hours on the bike, you should be dead. And not like lying in the bed like, I want to sleep, I wish I would sleep.
Yeah, and a good example of that is Marcus from Inner Fight, because he pretty much, or he is like 100% like paleo. So he doesn't have any processed carbs. If you follow him, just like look at his posts, like he'll go on these like crazy runs, and he's got like in his pocket is just got like 2 dates, and that's all he'll have. And it's just like he's so fat adapted, and he just has real food. And he goes, if he needs a pick me up, if he needs something, there is like nature's energy fuel in a.
And this is the guy who did 30 marathons
in 30 days.
In 30 days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's the guy. Yeah, and it's insane. So, and it's just where he's figured out a way that works for him, and even like he's done like ultra marathons and stuff like that, and it's just where he's managed to figure out a system that really works for him, and he just basically cuts out the shit and anything processed, and he'll only eat real food. Like he does. I think he was going to Jordan doing a race there, and he had a pack, and then and he just he showed everything that he was packing for the race, because he just had that one bag, and he's got like his food. He had coffee in there too, and then from there he had this like old like a little cellophane bag, and it had like Snickers bars in there. He's like, in case of emergencies, I haven't used this in 5 years. And it's just like, you just get like, he's like, it's just as if shit happens, he's got this as backup, but
that's like for a week, right?
Yeah, most probably. Yeah.
If the plane crashes and I'm on the deserted island, like these Snickers are what's going to get me through.
And like, if he does some sort of miles, like, okay, I'm doing this mileage today, it is 3 dates. And and that's it. And if you really want to,
do you know how was his body after that 30 marathons?
No. I'm sure he was struggling, but I like it. But it's just he really pushed through. So I don't because we knew each other back then, but we weren't really in contact that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you please take us through the calm down? The come down of the
caffeine.
coffee.
Oh, the
that's the half-life stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Basically, half-time of caffeine is anything between 8 to 14 hours.
Yeah.
However, it will be individual. Yeah. Also, you can build up kind of tolerance.
Yeah.
Some people can't build tolerance. That's also individual.
Yeah.
So that's why the range is pretty big.
Yeah.
But let's say if you have coffee at 8 and it's double espresso, you have amount of caffeine. It's called half time. At 4 p.m., the amount of caffeine of one espresso still in your system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big problem when it becomes to trying not to influence your sleep with the caffeine, because I mean, if it's decaf, like, you're cool, because decaf has like 5 to 10 milligrams of caffeine, and that's not going to do much, especially after the time span, right? But if you have double espresso at 4 p.m.
Yeah, so this means...
Let's say we'll go to the lower range.
8 hours.
Then 8 hours.
That's midnight.
Okay, so at midnight,
12,
it's like you had one espresso at midnight, and your brain knows about it.
Of course. So
Yeah.
you're sleeping, but you're not sleeping, basically.
You're sleeping, but your brain is not resting, because there is still, it's just dysregulation.
Yeah.
The same thing as we were talking, like, people are like, no, I'm good, I can have espresso, I can go to bed. Yeah, it's a chronic fatigue. You're basically chronically fucked up from having too much coffee over time. You know?
Yeah. But that's those are always interesting conversations, because you go like, hey, after 8 hours, whatever caffeine wise you've had at the latest point, half of it's still in there. And that's how long it takes for your body to process it.
I don't think everybody's educated to that level. I mean,
I think this is pretty not non-common knowledge.
You're seeing like people who are they're either in the fitness field or like optimization and stuff like that. I think we've spoken about in the past, and it's kind of like they'll have strict cutoffs, and even that they'll go the extra miles. Like, okay, stop drinking water or food at this time, get off your phone, no work. So just there's a bit of almost like a nighttime routine. I was just thinking something today, and
blue blockers.
Yeah, blue blockers. Yeah, that's these guys right here. And it's just
blue blockers.
Yeah, I mean they're glasses, but they like a lot of glasses now have the blue blocker lens things in them.
Okay, I will test it after. I have the light. We can test it after.
Okay.
Because if it's supposed to be blocking for nighttime,
test this bullshit or not? Amazing. Yes.
Build the reviews on Amazon.
Yeah,
because it's supposed to be orange and red glass. The one that is supposed to help you for the bedtime. For like a screen through the day, this might be okay. Because it's just the light spectrum that it's blocking, it's different, right? And these clear ones, they will never block the blue light the way we would need before the sleep. Sorry, go on.
No. Yeah. No.
Bedtime routine, you were saying.
Yeah, and so the guy I was listening to today, and because that's what I noticed. The people who are quite successful in whatever they do, they always start the day before anyone else. Like they're always up at like extreme cases 3, but normally between 4 and 5, because they have those couple of hours where no one's up yet. They get to do whatever they need to do, and they feel like they always get like by 9 a.m. they literally got the whole day is done for them. They've done all the work, and then they do what has to happen after that. So he never had an alarm, but he had an alarm to tell him to go to sleep. So it's opposite.
Okay.
So he had something that would go off on his phone. He's like, all right, cool, start winding down, go to bed. But he would never have an alarm to wake up. He would just naturally wake up between 4 and 5.
Okay.
So if he needed more sleep, 5, 4, he was good to go. And that was start to the day. And the way he talked about it, he would always wake up, he'd either go train and then go have coffee with his wife, and that was like a 30-minute block for them to just process and kind of talk about the day and what was going to happen, or just have a conversation, and then to go about their day, whatever it is. But it was really interesting, because I found it a bit kind of cool, because what I tend to do is on my phone around like between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, that my phone's on do not disturb, so like I don't get any notifications or whatever, but it just allows me to just slowly stop being on my phone, but it just allows me to just Yeah.
I actually tried this last year.
Okay.
Specifically March last year, where by 7:30, 8 p.m., I'll put the phone inside the room, on the charger, on silent. Switch off. I would keep the alerting, whatever it is, but I wouldn't look at it. It's even upside down. And I wouldn't look at it until next day after I had my breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
My sleep habit became better.
Yeah.
I woke up fresh. My mind was relaxed because, whatever you read sometimes or you see, you actually take it with you to your bed and you sleep, and probably your brain is still working.
So, for example, this was the problem I had before in the gym before, that I was expected to be on 24/7 emergency. And I couldn't do this.
No.
And I was, thanks to responsibility of my coworkers, sometimes woken up by a phone call that nobody showed up for a class.
Yeah.
Not members, the coach didn't show up.
Yes, I understand.
So
Calling from a member.
I needed, so I needed to, exactly. So I needed to be available, which, like, if you can, just get rid of this kind of responsibilities, because I know it's hard, but like it's killing you.
The only thing the reason why nowadays I sleep with a notification or my ringtone on or loud is because my parents are growing old.
Yeah.
And I just, God forbid, but these things could happen, and I just don't want to be the one that's sleeping and
you want to be available.
Happening. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to say something.
We were talking about the come downs, and the caffeine.
Oh, and the half-life. Yeah. So, So what I've tried it with people. I've tried it on myself in regards to just have a bit of a cutoff. Like have your the conversation is, why do you think you need to have coffee? Like for me, one of my go-tos is if I was going to train, I'll have a cup of coffee. I mean, Tunisia is a very good example. I was there last week. The CrossFit Open's on. It's all good fun. And I literally land. I was working with Ahmed. And I was like, yeah, well, we're going to go to the gym. I was like, are we doing the open workout or no? He's like, oh, no. I'm like, well, maybe. But if not, I just need to move. I'm like, okay, cool. So I landed. I got a headache. And I was like, okay. So I got some food in. I was like, look, I just need to sleep for an hour. And then we'll go. So I got to the gym and we see like 40, 50 people just throwing down. And I look at him, I'm like, all right, we're doing it now. He's like, yeah, okay. I was like, yeah, fine, cool.
It was the first one, yeah?
That's the first one. And then I just, the owners of the gym, I looked at them like, you got a coffee machine? I was like, yeah. I was like, I need 2 coffees now. So I got...
And Ahmed got one as well, yeah? So 2 for you.
Yeah, 2 for me and 1 for him. And this was at 5:30, 6 p.m.
About which time? This zone? Time?
Well, Tunisia. So they're...
it's 2 hours, I think.
4.
4? Oh, 4?
3.
4 hours.
No, 3. Yeah, 3 hours. Yeah, it's weird. It's really surprised me. I only think it was an hour. Yeah. And I was like, what? I couldn't get my head around it. Anyways, I just did the workout with coffee, and then I slept like a baby afterwards. But it was I don't know. It's something that, like, if I'm going to train, I like to have a cup of coffee or just something before I go. It's just,
may I ask this? What's the duration before the workout that you take that coffee, the intake?
Oh, within the hour.
An hour. Okay.
Yeah, within the
within the hour.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll have a coffee, then just go train.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I can tell you that from that actual stimulation perspective, just have something with natural sugar. I know you said you don't like bananas, but bananas are great.
Yeah, absolutely. I love bananas. I like butter. That's why I actually like
honey.
Honey. Yeah.
Honey's great.
So I like raisins or dates. Just anything that will kick you on 15 minutes before. And it's actually way better stimulation than coffee is.
Because I have this way. I work out in the evenings because my work. And so
that's how I met you.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm doing the 6 p.m., usually an hour before, I'll have the Turkish coffee, or otherwise I wouldn't have coffee, but I'll have maybe a cup of tea, whatever, something warm. I don't know, just in my head maybe. And then at 5:15, I'll take a big spoon or a large spoon of honey. And then 5:30, I'll just leave and go to the gym.
Okay.
And of course, water. Sometimes I'll take a power drink, to be honest. I'm not going to lie about
What
this.
is a power drink?
Red Bull or...
Red Bull doesn't work for me, honestly.
Okay.
I love it for the flavor.
But it's caffeine as well.
I don't like the Red Bull flavor. Sorry?
But it's caffeine anyway.
And taurine and green tea extra. It's got everything in there.
We can go through these because I have a list of so-called stimulants that I actually found out that not many of them are actually stimulating.
Yeah, so for me, Red Bull doesn't work. Power Horse, I don't know.
I've never drank that in my life, Power Horse.
What I found was Monster Drink was okay for me, but the C4 was like, ugh, no, it didn't work. I just tried, I think, once or twice because I saw it said sugar-free. I'm like, interesting.
I met a guy who was doing a lot of Monster Drinks because he was doing a lot of steroids.
Okay.
So
what was the connection?
Yeah, exactly. He needed sugars.
Okay. I was like, wait. Monsters for what?
No, he just connected the dots for it. He wasn't doing it for the stimulation effect. He was just doing it because he needed the sugar.
Okay, so let's go because I could see the list there. Because it's, we were talking, for me, I think it's not so much, if I'm training in the evening, I generally won't have a cup of coffee before I train. But like if I'm around that 3 p.m. window, I'll still kind of relatively strict with that unless I feel quite tired. So for example, if I feel if I'm coaching the evening classes and I've had a big day or whatever, I might have a coffee around 3:30 to get ready for the class, and that's kind of my thing. But then and it's not, I wouldn't say it's, like we've talked about already, it's not so much a stimulant, it's just almost like it's like my ritual more than anything else.
Yes.
But then kind of like going to these energy drinks now, because you said that they're technically not stimulants, but there's caffeine and stuff in there. Now we've already kind of broken down what caffeine does and how it binds to those receptors and blocks. So we can only use caffeine as like a
caffeine blocker.
A caffeine blocker.
No, sorry, fatigue blocker.
Fatigue blocker. And that makes sense, And then and that's why you can push, but then that's why you have the big energy dumps afterwards, because it's when your body reconfigures and resets. That's not the game over, but that's something has to happen.
I set up, and this happened after the 1 month coffee withdrawal. Yeah. After November. Okay. I have a rule for myself where if I feel that I need the coffee, I don't have it.
Yes.
On purpose. Because I don't want that to be my crutch towards energy. You can, like we did yesterday, the breathing, right? That can energize you a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, just 15 minutes. I know it's maybe easier to get a cup of coffee, or maybe fancier to get a cup of coffee than to do a breathing. But
quick fix.
Yeah, it's a quick fix. Exactly. We want to avoid that. That's why it's no fix November, or no fix anything you want.
What happened to you when November was over? Like you took 1 cup of coffee and it was enough for the whole day?
Well, now I am at like 1.
Yeah, you're a 2 maybe, like, and that's a rare thing.
Max 2. Yeah. And if second one is happening, it's usually a bit of cold drip.
Okay.
These days, I usually have only cold drip with my heavy cream, so I change the taste of it. But that's it. I haven't had an espresso for a couple of weeks now.
Nice.
I make them for people around, but I don't have them.
Okay.
And that's the thing. If I'm like in a completely okay state where I'm not lacking energy, it's not in the coffee. The coffee is not going to give you any energy.
The energy is within you, right?
Yeah, the energy is inside, right? So if I'm not lacking anything and I feel I'm okay, I will have a coffee. But if I feel I need it, I avoid it on any cost, because it's just a buildup of a patch. It's a patch on that situation, right? Yeah. And that's not going to hold up for long.
Okay.
And that's a cool conversation that I think we had a long time ago. And when you mentioned that, it's like, do you want a coffee or do you need a coffee? And if it was need, no. If you want, okay.
Yeah, that's basically what I was talking about 5 minutes. He said in one sentence. So that's exactly
what I do. I talk for a living.
I just remembered something. When I used to go to the gym way much years ago, but not CrossFit.
Yeah.
I wasn't sweating. And when I asked the coach, he was like, that's because you're not having coffee. So have coffee and you'll sweat a lot. And this is, I was told like that. And few friends as well, they were like, hey, you sweat much more better, you'll have more energy, so you'll sweat, and etc., etc. However, now I don't have coffee, but in CrossFit, we sweat like crazy.
My mean answer to that,
I think it's also water intake.
Work harder.
Yeah, that's it. It's intensity,
Exactly. I thought because I was thin and maybe I wasn't carrying enough weights, or work harder. Basically.
Trained people sweat
way more.
Why? Because sweat is your thermoregulation. And it's, again, body is predictive. So if body is expecting, I will start to sweat. I don't want to say I'm highly trained, but I do some stuff. Yeah. I will sweat if I'm taking 2 flights of stairs. Because body's like, okay, we're triggering it because if something is going on, we need to go. We need to thermoregulate, right? I mean, you have the same thing, right?
I sweat like a crazy person.
Same here.
And I'm not that fit.
That's why with a bald head, there's a struggle. It just slips immediately from head to the eyes.
Spicy food.
No, but I enjoy CrossFit. One of the reasons, and especially Ignite as well. Because I sweat a lot, and it's a good feeling. I used to play football at the same time when I used to go to the gym, and I sweat there way much more than what the gym was. So someone said, "Oh, because you're not having coffee," and unfortunately, as it seems, like it was an incorrect information.
But how the football works? It's intervals.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Up and down.
Exactly. You're
not always running.
Spike easy. I do 99% of my training that way, and I'm also doing it with my people as much as possible. Like, when was the last time we had like a long, steady workout?
It's always intervals.
Yeah, exactly. It's even it's long, it's never steady. You know, it's long intervals. It's intervals for an extended period of the time, right?
Absolutely. Unknown time. No.
Sometimes unknown. Yeah.
Unknown. Yeah.
You have to figure it out.
Yep.
So we're going through the.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm curious on it too.
Because I just.
Because you mentioned it, I was thinking about it, and it was. I think once we defined it, like caffeine's not a stimulant. It's kind of it's a blurry line. Yeah. But then now my guess is as we start digging through this list, these are basically the most fatigue blocking things you can put in a drink.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Some of them they have actual physiological benefit.
Okay.
But I wouldn't call them stimulants.
Okay.
That's
sure.
So for example, C4.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a substance. That's a product.
Yeah.
And C4 has 4 main components. One of them is caffeine. Okay, so bullshit substance.
Well, that's what they promote. Like, we got so much caffeine in this thing, or
150 milligrams.
Yeah.
In a scoop?
Per one scoop,
that's
which is basically a double espresso or 1 coffee in a scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, 1.5 gram. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there is arginine. I'm not really sure about pronunciation of all these Latin things, but I mean, if you Google. Arginine is a amino acid, and it is an amino acid that is very much involved in healing and protein synthesis. So basically building blocks for protein. Okay. It is also a precursor of nitric oxide. Now, that's an interesting information because nitric oxide, NO, is a substance that it's in the veins, and when it's activated, it's doing vasodilatation, which means widening of the veins, basically better circulation. Yeah. Arginine is a precursor of this one. So basically precursor means an enzyme will come and it will turn arginine into NO. I very simplified, there's definitely much more into it, but arginine is one of the precursors for the nitric oxide. So C4 will give you, by this, it will block your fatigue, caffeine.
Yeah.
Arginine, it will give you a better circulation, okay? Especially in the working muscles.
You would see bodybuilders kind of go through all that. And like there was a kind of, I remember when I was into bodybuilding stuff, is you'd see them all take a pre-workout because they all get the vascularity all going while they were training. And, if you think about that, it's if their veins are opening up more, there's so much more blood flow, so they get the pump faster. And that's what they were chasing. That's what the nitric acid was kind of focused on.
Then there is also still talking arginine. It's involved in metabolism of the growth hormone, but because growth hormone is basically a huge mismatch of amino acids, basically it's one of them. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that intake of arginine will give you a boost for the growth hormone, and that's why you should take C4. That's a very twisted logic. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Glucose uptake into the muscles, so it helps to push the glucose into the muscles. Again, as one of the mechanisms and one of the substances that it's involved in these mechanisms.
Yeah, and like for example, insulin does that naturally. So when you eat food and there's a good amount of carbohydrates in there, insulin will get stimulated, and then from there, its role is to get the glucose from the food.
Bloodstream?
Yeah, from the bloodstream, and put it in somewhere. So it'll do it in the liver and do all to the muscle tissue.
Plus, there is one very interesting thing that during the physical activity and during muscle work, you need less insulin, close to non-insulin, to actually get the glucose into the muscles. That's why physical activity is so good for people with diabetes 1 type, because they have no production of the insulin.
No regulation.
They need to inject it to regulate it, yes. Right? But physical activity allows them to do that naturally. It needs to be very regulated and controlled, and that's why they measure it, and they have the beepers and everything. Yeah. But physical activity can give you basically better insulin sensitivity in the muscles.
When you're seeing now with performance athletes, they've all got the implant in there, which lasts for like 10 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they'll literally put it in there. It's like a little disc that goes in your thing. A lot of endurance athletes are kind of using it now. And you'll see like some CrossFit athlete, like Sam Briggs, has been using it. She's sponsored by them too. And it all connects to their phone, and you literally have real-time access to where people's blood sugar levels are.
Whoa.
It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. So they know like they'll eat something, and then they can see go, and then after training, they can see the dumps, the spikes and everything. So what they're doing is like they're figuring out, on certain training sessions how to best fuel it, and also how to pre-fuel and how to after fuel. So especially with those like extreme athletes where it's their job, and especially with endurance with them, like with Amy. So just imagine she had that, and you could have the real time data of like when things crash. Okay, well, what happened here? Or you had food, and this happened the next day. What happened? So when we had that conversation, I was like, oh, how you been finding it? Because one of my clients is diabetic, so it's been really interesting, and he's big into marathons and stuff like that. But then, so I had the conversation when she was out here for the DCC. I was like, what have you noticed on it? Because I know she's very dialed in with everything she does. And he's like, well, anytime I would have a session in the morning and a session in the evening, if it was a big session, don't quote me on it, but then she said if she didn't have a bigger meal the night before, she noticed her second session suffered. Whereas before, if she had a regular meal and she'd do her heavy session in the morning and then she'd come into the afternoon session, she just felt like she didn't, like it just felt harder than it should have been. But when she checked that out, she's like, oh, there's this big dump at some point. So what she did is the night before, she fueled heavier. Basically, we had this conversation a long time ago, fueling it for what you need it for, which was going to happen the next day. And then she said she felt better and she had more sustainability throughout the day to manage the workload that you're doing.
Food shouldn't be the thing you're catching up with.
Yeah.
You should fuel for what is coming.
Yeah.
If you're going to recover, have protein. If you're going to work, have some fuel.
It works for me, for example, when I do the long hikes, like 25, 30 kilometers hikes. We talk about 9 to 10 hours hike, and I eat properly the night before, and I make sure to sleep at least 6 to 7 hours, because less than that, I did the same hike twice, but once with less sleep and disastrous. Like halfway, I just wanted to just stop, leave me here, go. I have my headlight, I have my everything with me. Just go. I know the way back.
Okay.
I managed to finish it, however, but as I said, it's just preparing for whatever comes next by fueling up for that. It's like filling up the car. You fuel up for the distance you're going to.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Not for what you carry.
Like whoa.
Yeah.
So you're talking about C4 here.
Yeah. Well, we are not even halfway there.
Okay. So those ingredients, you think they're not good, or they're good?
It's not so much as if it's good or bad. It's just these are C4 is a tool and it's marketed a certain way. So when these elements, there's points, they're useful, but then if they're abused, that's the issue.
When we'll finish the C4 reading, you will understand where I'm getting it with it, because you can do it with way more natural stuff without having C4 and having very similar effect.
Okay.
Yeah. Weird combination, but beetroot with coffee, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So, because the other substance that is there, so we got caffeine, arginine, beta-alanine. Beta-alanine, guys, is what Matthew Fraser called his third lung, on Joe Rogan podcast, and basically they sold out all beta-alanines for the following weeks and months to come in US because he said that.
Yeah.
It's the one that people usually have the tingling from. Like they say, like their skin is tingling. That's from the beta-alanine. And what beta-alanine
and you'll see that with a lot of pre-workout like mixtures and stuff that the people take.
Yeah.
First thing I try that.
So beta-alanine and histidine, which again, these two are precursors of carnosine. Yeah, I read it right. Carnosine. It's a buffer for acidity, which means that the acidity, and now you're not going into why it's there, if it's lactate or if it's disbalance between O2 and CO2, because that's very open discussion even in a scientific world right now.
Yeah.
Because they're not sure, or they have been too sure with one version of it. But what is happening is that it will basically balance your pH better, and therefore, if certain processes are limited by environment of acidity, they are not going to be stopped. Okay? For example, glucose reuptake in the muscle is very dependent on what the pH in the muscle is. If it's above certain level, one enzyme will just stop production because it's too far, and you can't, basically that's your red light, that's your safety brakes on the body. Like we can't go more, because if the acidity of the environment will go even lower, we will burn the environment through how acid it will become here. Yeah. And this buffer, acidity buffer, beta-alanine, is helping you to keep the acidity more alkaline and therefore balance it better. Yeah, you have same effect if you have soda bicarbonate. I was talking about it before. I have it sometimes just to, soothe down. It will help you with exact same processes. It's a buffer for acidity.
And cheaper.
Way more available. Yeah. So basically, if we would summarize it, C4, caffeine, arginine, beta-alanine. If you have coffee, you have a little bit of beetroot on a regular basis, because that beetroot juice really works when you have it on a regular basis for that nitric oxide widening effect and better blood circulation. And into it you will mix up a little bit of bicarbonate. You basically made your own C4 from way more natural substances. Yeah. And
I'm just trying to, I'm like,
have you been in UK 2012?
I was already there, yeah.
Yeah, so you remember Olympics in London?
Yeah.
So that's
I saw the weightlifting there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's where beetroot started to be like, oh, what is this? Because all athletes were drinking it.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
And there was a big fuss about it, like, what is this? What is this? What's going on? I actually know a girl who did her thesis on a school, like her PhD work was on whether beetroot should be in the doping or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Basically examining significance of the uptake there. So beetroot for life for sure.
I'm trying to figure out a recipe here.
Okay.
No, so I'm
You're cooking already, eh?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
so I'm like, so if we did like a beetroot infused cold brew, and then like as a little garnish, you just sprinkle a bit of like salt-based style sodium bicarbonate and mix it. We should be good to go. And I reckon that would taste pretty good.
We can try it. We can test it.
Try it.
And placebo is strong as well.
There you go. Yeah. If we say it works, it works. We believe it.
One of the things that you mentioned before, that was it taurine?
Taurine. Yeah.
Yeah, taurine. So
That's quite big in Red Bull.
yeah, taurine is actually calming.
Oh.
It's calming agent for your brain.
Okay.
And
Is that because the amount of caffeine they try shoving that thing? So it's just kind of like a counter regulatory thing?
I don't know why they put it there. I didn't even know that Red Bull has it. I just know that taurine is used in stimulants as well. But overall, it has very similar effects as GABA, which is another substance. And it is basically brake on your hyperness.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you saying that, it makes it sound like, okay, we've got this much caffeine, and normally it's caffeine with green tea extract as well. So that's the blocking side of things. So I think the taurine is just to make sure it's not overdone.
Maybe, yeah, because when you have too much
still
caffeine,
have a relative
you have
normal
this,
half-life.
like brain fog, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this is there to suppress the brain fog. I don't know.
Like
maybe.
a gate.
But it's definitely not a stimulant. Yeah.
No.
Even though it's one of very, let's say, prevalent substances that is put into stimulant drinks. Maybe it's there exactly as a break for that brain fog. Then there is a couple of more, like theobromine.
I don't know what that is.
It's actually the so-called stimulant in the chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it supposedly has similar effect as coffee, but less aggressive. So it has a slower start,
Slow release.
and longer lasting. However, I was also reading about a study where it also has an impact on dopamine the same way as caffeine has, because dopamine is released on all adenosine receptors, and some of the adenosine receptors are responsible for dopamine regulation. You can get dopamine uptake as well from having caffeine. That's why it's addictive. And also having the chocolate. However, they took theobromine.
And social media. And social media.
And of course, yeah. Social media all day long. All the likes, the hearts, and the comments, right? And the theobromine was taken as a extracted substance out of chocolate or whatever, or they just synthesized it. I don't know how they did it, but it was isolated and it had no effect. So then, what's going on, right? Why is it happening? Why is it happening when it's in chocolate? Is it the sweet taste? Might be that as well. Yeah. You don't know. But there's so many contradictions here. That, if you want to find 10 studies that support that caffeine is good, you will find them.
Find it. Yeah.
If you want 10 suppressing, you will find them.
Sure.
Yeah. The funny thing that I was reading about, there was some 12-year study now done, published very recently, and it's showing that coffee has health benefits if it's up to not necessarily caffeine, but coffee.
Yeah,
because there is way
cups
more.
A day or something like that.
How much of 2 to 3 cups a day, exactly. How
many?
many?
Healthy range.
How many of these different substances are in the coffee? Like, it's in thousands, right? Also, antioxidants and
especially
polyphenols and all these.
Yeah, and I think it's and that's when you start getting there's another side of it too. So the specialty coffee, because you're getting it sort of the most the value, and there's a taste profile as well that comes with it, and that's what we can call it, like light or medium roasted. So it's not like burnt, it's not overly done, whereas when you start getting to the dark roast things, I think, and that's what the flavors people remember with coffee being this bitter, burnt taste. But then if you burn anything food wise, like how much nutrient value you're getting from it, you're actually taking a good chunk of it out. So I would say specialty coffee, things which are roasted to where it should be, and that's why you get taste, because it's not overly cooked. But then I would say the benefits of all the other elements within coffee are there as well. But what you're seeing now is this next wave of healthy coffee. So you're seeing coffee with BCAAs. You're seeing they'll sprinkle in beta-alanine and all that, so just for hey, it's caffeine plus. So it's not an energy drink, but it's coffee, the coffee special. I don't know whatever call it. And it's just where it's I'm seeing it sold as something packaged a bit differently. Yeah, I've seen that with health chocolate.
What will happen if you had coffee and an energy drink or something like a pre-workout? How dangerous it is, let's say?
I think your heart rate go up quite a bit.
I mean, in this case, I wouldn't say that beta-alanine and all these that they're dangerous.
No.
I wouldn't say that at all. Yeah, I'm just saying you can get them in a better way than a synthetic made, or the effect. Yeah, you can get in a better way than a synthetic made powder.
Okay.
like beetroot is way more natural.
Yeah.
Baking soda is definitely way more natural than C4. Okay, even it's a powder.
Yeah.
And if you really need that powder, that's your soda. Yeah, just have it there.
Like when you mess around with that, do you just mix it with something, or you just have a spoonful of it?
The soda.
Yeah.
Oh no, not spoon. I put it into the water.
Okay, just mix
or
it.
into. We did it with my brother. With a little bit of either Himalayan salt or baking soda into orange juice. It was like our energy drink, you know. And it works. It works very well. It works against cramps so well because it has everything or most of the things that you need. People a lot of time think that magnesium, right? That's the magnesium. That's potassium. Potassium. It's what you need against cramps.
Yeah, it's like bananas. And
But actually, the sodium is what you need more.
Salt.
I remember we spoke about this in the first episode. With the cramps and so
Yeah, so that was against
the
cramps.
How much do you put in the orange juice?
Teaspoon.
A teaspoon. Okay.
Like little teaspoon, not much. In like 300 milliliters, you know, like normal medium cup. Yeah, so I was saying about that coffee study. They found out that even decaf had all the health benefits compared to control group that had no coffee. It was over 12 years. And they were cardiovascular health, your veins, they were doing even scans and some MRIs and like so many different things on a multiple huge groups of people. And some of them were drinking caffeine, tea, coffee, certain amounts, and there was at least 5 to 6 groups, you know. And even decaf showed to be more beneficial than having no coffee. So it's not about the caffeine itself.
No.
When we talk about it, caffeine tablets. You were asking about having caffeine with that energy drink all together. I mean, you will just overdo the coffee.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like you would have 8 espressos because all the other things are not really significantly going to negatively impact you, but the amount of caffeine you will get, that might. You know,
it's like overflowing your car at that point.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's strong.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like direct injection of jet fuel, and you don't have an engine for that.
That's like you see like Fast and Furious when they hit the button and it goes crazy. The NOS button.
And then the car falls apart at the end. Right?
Exactly.
Flames come out the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how your brain feels anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God. But I think even if you try to do like, you know, people use it, to work out, like, I mean, the come down would be crazy, but you know, people using it to focus on work, I think your brain would be like so overdrive. You couldn't focus. You'd be like, oh, this and that, that.
Oh, you know yerba mate or mate?
Yeah.
As a drink.
Yeah. The Argentinian drink.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So
And
it's
they famous in
also-
Syria, by the way.
Oh, cool.
It's very famous in
They
Syria.
have very cool cups.
You see all the football players now, they're drinking, especially like Messi, Suarez, the players from Barcelona specifically, they're always holding the mate because it's a very calming...
it has actually the theobromine, the same thing as a chocolate, but it also has theophylline, which is similar to the nitric oxide. It will just increase your circulation.
Okay.
And not only that, but that one also will widen your airways.
This is why I used to work in a company once, and we had a couple of people from Syria, and they had that drink with them. They disallowed them to have it anymore because apparently it makes them very calm and relaxed to do what, like, you're not doing the job, you have to do it.
And in the workplace.
Exactly, not in the workplace. Have coffee instead.
So the theophylline is bronchodilatator as well, which means that the mate, yerba mate, will help you to breathe better as well. It's in inhalers. It's the same thing that is in inhalers when they have it, but there you inhale it, so it goes directly to the airways.
Yeah.
I don't know how is it when you actually it goes through the digestion because
It's going through a different system.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
going through a very different system,
Yeah.
but they claim that circulation is better. Funny fact on the side, there were some claims that yerba mate was causing cancer. And there was like a serious fuss about it a couple of years ago. And then they found out that the risk of the cancer wasn't because of the yerba mate, but because people are drinking it too hot. It was actually, if you drink any drink over 65 degrees Celsius, it's very dangerous in a long term. Not only it burns, but on long term, it's not really good for you.
But you make coffee at 90 degrees, 93 degrees.
But you don't drink it at that temperature.
Oh no, I'm a baby. I have to wait for it to cool down.
Exactly.
But some people love that.
Be a baby.
I know. But some people there's a joke that people have like it have like an asbestos tongue and like they could just drink it. I'm like, how? I'll just be sticking my tongue out the rest of the day.
I need to actually feel the taste
more
than the burn.
No, yeah.
You know, and that's like
that's why I don't mind
cold.
overheating.
Like a fine line.
It's like people overheating food. They put it in the microwave for even longer and longer. They want it to be to a boiling level, and then they just start eating.
I don't get it. Like why? I don't like spicy as much as a lot of people here, especially.
But that's a different effect, though, isn't it?
No, it's actually not, because spiciness is not a taste. Spice is reacting on your intensity or heat receptors. Yeah. It's like the pain receptors. Not you don't have receptors for the flavor. So it's that's why you call it hot, right? Because you don't know if it's hot or if it's spicy. It's just hot. It's hurting.
Well, that mean it was like it's hot. It's like, is it oven hot or like hot? Exactly. That's what people will say.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's basically the same thing. And I don't like it too much because I can't taste anything else. You know, not like I'm super hyped into tasting anything too much. True, you know, but I mean,
if you want to have fun with it, watch like anything from there's a YouTube channel and they have like called Hot Ones.
Yes.
And, oh my god! So like, there's a few great ones in it, but you just see them. It's like they can't taste anything for days. You know, like Gordon Ramsay's on there. It's like, how am I going to go to this restaurant and taste all the new menu because you couldn't taste anything?
But this is why, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Because you burned the receptors. That's why you can build a tolerance. Because it's like you can build a tolerance on any pain, basically. Yeah? That's what boxers do. That's what Thai boxers do when they're hitting their shins and forearms and whatever, right? You just build up tolerance to that, and you can build up tolerance towards the taste. And you cannot feel what you're tasting for a couple of days after if you overdo it, right? It's just too hot.
That's okay. I didn't. That's like okay. So hot food, but then or food that creates heat. You could say the spice.
Yeah.
They react the same.
Yeah, they react. Basically, body doesn't see much of a difference between that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Because because that's when you go into the eastern side of things, and like especially with like the Indian culture and their food, and they got a whole method of eating called Ayurveda, or it's a whole like. There's Ayurvedic doctors and things like that. So it's medicine practice. But then they, and I really like their approaches because everyone's they're like classified as different things. So like it's all it almost sounds like very elemental, like earth, fire. Like you need to bring more fire to the system. Okay, that means more spicy food or
heating or cooling foods.
Exactly, right. And it's really interesting how they kind of go through that. And it's like, okay, so they may not use like spices, like as in like spicy food, but then they'll start using like ginger and turmeric and like other things that can bring heat. So like for example, if people want something kind of soothing but kind of warm and fuzzy, they'll have like a ginger tea or something. There's a certain element to that, or something as well, like with turmeric in their food. And it's just like these little things where like they've been around for so long, and these natural methods have been used, but then also to treat certain conditions. So someone with heartburn, as example, it's like, okay, there's too much heat in the system. So they would use, okay, well, we need to cool it down. So like yogurt and things like that, just to kind of reduce the acidity of things to make it more alkaline. Because when you actually start digging into it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But then, and so they base everything on the 5 tastes, so sweet, sour, and then you need to have something like intrinsic, like a tea or something like that.
Oh, you reminded me because in European culture, but that like ancient Greek, okay? The doctors, I'm not sure which one was it, but it was one of the main Greek philosophers. I don't want to say, I don't want to mess it up now. But they came up with this theory of 4 fluids that you have in the body, right? And it was, there was blood, there was this, I can't remember all of them, but basically all sickness was coming from imbalance. However, that led to not really nice practice of letting people bleeding a lot. And that was, I don't know what is the term in English for that. Do you have like a specific word for it? When you basically like, you cut it open and you let it go? And they were healing people with that because they thought they had too much of the blood.
Well, that's how they relieved headaches. They would like cut your head open.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
Cut your head off.
Yeah, no. Like say they would. Oh, it was really. I've seen pictures of it, and so since they couldn't really figure out what was going on with people who had headaches all the time, so they thought it was pressure in the brain.
It was imbalance. Yeah.
So they were trying to relieve pressure, so they'd like cut open and make slits to relieve pressure. And I was like, well, what? But I mean, I get it. Like it's just back then they didn't have as much information as we do now.
When you look at it from this historical perspective, then having a C4 is not the worst practice you can do.
Not at all, right?
But it's still not the best you can do. So
yeah, and I know like there's remedial stuff that people there's cupping, and then there's the one that's kind of more known over like in Middle Eastern cultures is like they'll do cupping, but they'll actually make an incision,
yes,
and then they'll do that to release the blood, but to take toxins out. Because when people do that, like they generally they feel better, but they're so tired because it's it's to a degree. I get the cupping side of things. Right? The bleeding is trauma, right? So the body has to heal as well and recover.
I know a guy who went for
I know a
guy who went for this, and he actually, his hair started to grow.
Oh.
They did it on his head.
Okay.
He was bald.
Yeah.
He had like bald spot here.
Yeah.
And cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Put the thing on it, and then in a couple of days, weeks, he started to notice that his hair is growing. And they were like, "Oh yeah, that happens sometimes." Like, what?
Oh my god.
I never tried cupping, but it looks like it's a big thing nowadays. I mean, I watch football and I follow a lot, and there's a player called Karim Benzema.
Mm-hmm.
He's a French player, plays for Real Madrid, and this guy, like you can see him posting almost every week or two. And you can realize like he's doing that much for his muscles. But his performance, by the way, for his age, he's been progressing. He's growing older, and
How old is he?
I think he's like 33 or 34 now.
Oh wow, as a football player.
And no. Nowadays, actually, with current football players, they're actually performing up to the age of 40, and you'd be surprised. I think the methods has changed in the practice.
It shows how out of football. Because I know, like with like Thierry Henry and like Zidane and all those. Like they were like
that's it.
Yeah.
33, 34 was the end of it.
That was the cutoff.
Yeah, but now we look at Cristiano Ronaldo's at 37, Messi's at 35.
No,
which
really?
is 40.
Oh my god!
And these guys are performing at the highest leagues.
Just towards that cupping, it's very common treatment from physios.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised.
But what do they treat? Is it muscles or they treat?
So, I mean, some of them will talk about like fascia. So they connect.
Yeah. Well, that depends, right? Because the treatment of the fascia and treatment of the muscles are kind of like happening on a different pressure.
Yeah.
If you press too hard or if you pull too hard for that, because it's suction, right? It will just fill the cup with that skin. It's the suction there. If it's too hard and if people are leaving like all blue, that's not ideal.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything with the fascia. But I know that some people do it like even before normal massage or before treatment, they will just put the cups on, mild pressure, because they have these ones where they can regulate it very
it's
well.
like a pump.
Yeah, it's like you really pump to a exact degree of suction you want, and they put some oil and they just run over the back, shoulders, whatever they need, and it's just to increase the circulation, and then they work on the issue. I can't tell you what this guy had it done for, but it's not. It's pretty common. It's pretty common treatment.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong too. So what I've seen is when they do the whole cupping thing, they kind of use it as a diagnosis tool as well, because you'll see areas which change color quite quickly, and they're like, okay, so that's where maybe if it's tightness or discomfort or any of the issues that they feel, and they just kind of notice it going on there.
Usually the spasms, around the shoulder blades, like the classics, they will be more red or like wine red. Because that's when the fascia will be like unglued from all the other stuff, and the circulation will regain and increase. Yeah. It also very, very much depends how much body fat you're having.
Yeah, but it's funny how like we're talking different players. I'm sorry, we're still focusing on football, but one is having mate to relax, and the other one is doing cupping. So each for his own. Like whatever
it's like massage, right? You can go for massage with activation purpose before performance, and you can go for absolute relaxation, or you can go for massage that is supposed to actually fix something.
But that's something that allows them to play their best, and this is where like so like Messi needs his mate drink to do his thing and perform at the highest level. You have, I can't remember the guy's name. Benzene. I was like, benzene. I was like, no, that's wrong. Like he needs to do cupping. There's like, I know, I don't know the exact reason behind it, but anyways, was a golfer. He's in his 50s now, and he won like a major last year. I know golf is generally a more long-term sport for most people compared to football and like tennis as example. But like he had some issues, like he was getting arthritis and things like that. And then he found out that like drinking coffee helped all those things. And they would every time he would drink coffee, he would feel better. And he had that feel back in his hands, and he had like, it was less painful. So now he's basically made his own healthy coffee. That's what I was talking about earlier on. And it's got like, so it's got coffee and then extra supplements kind of shoved into it too.
Well, they are, even this study I was mentioning before, like they're claiming that blood clot not treatment, but prevention, and so many benefits for whole cardiovascular system, elasticity of the veins, but it can't be. It's like also with the theobromine, the chocolate substance. Yeah. Like it's dose dependent.
Yes.
You can actually, with too much coffee, all these things we said can be it can be helpful for. It can also hurt it if you overdo it. But I guess that applies to absolutely everything. Like
there's a dosage for everything, right?
Yeah, heat is good, right? Until cold is good until.
And this, I mean, this is even just going to training. Like a tool is good until so long as it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. You have to do something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon, do you have any message?
Message? Like what?
Like for people.
For people?
Yeah.
Make sure your coffee's good. I mean, that's wow. I feel like that's a deep question.
Well, you can take it as deep as you want.
No, there's not much to it. I mean, I know we're talking about coffee and things like that. But what I would say is if you do like coffee, the conversations a lot we've been having is like, why do you have it? What is it? Something that brings joy to your life, or are you using it as a crutch for something? If it's a performance thing, or if it's a habit, addiction. Mm-hmm. So I think, and I kind of going back to kind of the thing that we've talked about a lot is like when you're drinking these things, is like what is it for? If you need it to sustain your day, maybe there's other questions you need to start asking yourself or things you need to figure out, and not use coffee as the thing that gets you through your day. I think there's other responsibilities people need to take.
If the problem is the consumption of the coffee, then probably the problem is not the consumption of the coffee, the underlying problem.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Versus like, and for me, it's coffee's always been like what we're doing right here. And it's always been a connector of things, and it's always inspired great conversations and like connecting with people. And that's something that's always been a good thing for me. That's, why I like to use coffee personally. But as a message to people, just, hey, go out there and do your thing and have fun. There's not really so much to it. I like to keep myself simple. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was fun.